Welcome back to an LGR thing. Wait, no, that's not correct. Wrong channel. You're in the wrong place. We're back in World 3 of Donkey Kong Country 3. This time we're going to take a little dip in the water at Cotton Top Cove. This is Bowser's Blockade. The funny thing about this level is the original... I had this back when I actually had boxes with video games in them. You know, behind the cover art, you'd have, like, the preview of what was going on with, like, the stuff like action, new game, you know. But then there's, like, these photos, and I think what happened was I got a beta screenshot because these Barracuda did not look like this. They looked a little, like, wispier and longer, and a different color, even. I'd have to double-check to see if that was the case, but yeah. Someone who collects boxes... or box arts and shit should know if they have the backs of this kind of thing. I'm sure someone does and has not thought about it since. Find the coin. You know, I like how we actually have barrels underwater. Like, we're actually focusing more on putting bonuses underwater. I'm glad for that. Despite all my swimming and crap. Got those, what do you call those? Clammy urchin things. Just whatever you want to call them. The Clurchins. Like I said, I really don't know these things offhand. All I know is that this thing is the Baza. As in, the Baja under California. Yeah. It must be weird having a long strip of land like that, and then having an artificial one called Chile under that. It's just like, maybe we should work out our lines better. Nah, I like living in a pizza crust. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, Chile. I'm sure you love being the pizza crust where the pizza's Argentina. Don't cry for me, I'm a pizza. Okay. Yeah, clownfish. Get it? Because their faces look like clowns. That's pretty much it, though. You're not going to find Nemo around here. I feel like I have the two variants in. The green ones are just normal, and then I guess the orange ones, which go back and forth. This is also the only level with these things. Like I said, there's a lot of very unique levels in this game. Like with Donkey Kong Country 1, there's a lot of reused stuff. And hell, even in Donkey Kong Country 2, when they had similar stuff, there was a few levels that were kind of... still had stuff you could find in other levels. But here, there's like unique shit almost all the way. Even while you're going to the end of the game, you're just like, wow, still new things. And this is just one of those... It's one of those things where you have to learn each mechanic as it happens at the moment. Somehow I've remembered all this. Somehow I... Okay. Looks like it's infants only.
Only Rugrats allowed.
It's a stone cold smash. The baddies. Obviously, I'm going to have to turn into a swordfish or something, otherwise there isn't going to be any bashing going on. So, I'm a swordfish now. Because I'm a transformed swordfish, you could actually... There is a unguarded barrel somewhere else if you don't go to this bonus. But it doesn't show up if you get the one from this bonus. But, assuming you were able to do something like that, I know this happens in the second game, is that you just get an extra hit. Or another Kong, practically. Oh, yeah, one thing I should note is that the mechanic for transforming an animal, like, works differently for Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country 3. In Donkey Kong Country 2, it was the case of if you got hit, you lost your partner. However, in this game, you get hit, you become you're the other partner, actually. And you can prove that by having 2 hits, getting hit once, and then going to the sign to test that. But... that's just something you need to know in case you were having your heart set on being Dixie Kong when this was all said and done. So, keep in mind little things like that, little gameplay differences, not to mention how Dixie moves slightly differently you might not have noticed. But she does. Probably to account for the fact that she has to be Player 1. Player 1's got the hair. Oh yeah, we could just put this on a list of female protagonists, can't we? There's more on those than you think.
You just gotta look.
Or they're older games and people have forgotten them. Except Tomb Raider. No one's forgotten Tomb Raider. And no one's forgotten Metroid, well, at least recently. I think people are like waiting on the Metroid game for the longest time. Just like, yeah, man, where's that Metroid? Hey, give me that Metroid. Where is it? Also, because of how water levels work, since coin still has to exist, he's in this end area in the cave. That's the only way that we can resolve that, since you can't really mess with barrels underwater, unfortunately. And I'm going up the stairs. Why are there just stairs here? What is this? Those are not natural stairs. Welcome to the waterfall area. This is a very relaxing theme, actually. How is it more relaxing than being underwater? Well, simply no drowning. Just falling off a long ways. Here we are at Niagara Falls, I guess. So yeah, this is basically, what do they call it? I've forgotten what the city's name is in New York. I can't believe I've forgotten this, but that's where it is. Okay, it's like, you know, the Northwest New York thing. Oh yeah, Buffalo. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of Buffalo, New York. Is what I think of when I think of waterfall zones. Hey, look, it's invisible. That's right. In your invase, you will be amazed by the amazing barrel pyrotechnics of the rocket barrel, which all it does is move you up and then shoot you up. You didn't have to make it all fancy, but we did it anyway. Also, probably the only level of these things. Once again, being unique and shit. That's what I'm saying. If someone makes a ROM hack of this and combines all these things together, you can get a lot of mileage out of it. Really. Really you could. Maybe not the level themes, but all these objects going together, coming in all at once. It's like, what's happening? It's like,
I've mixed all the gimmicks. Now what are you gonna do? Ha ha ha!
Make it Champions Road. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I like the Champions Road trope too much, though, anymore. It's just like, hey, we're gonna make it purposely difficult. Just for you. It's like, hey, stop that. I still want to beat the game.
Well, too bad. Completionism is overrated.
Just look at Breath of the Wild and trying to collect all the Koroks. You're not gonna do that. You could do it, but why? Even after you've gotten as many as you need, you can still get so much more, and I feel like it's Nintendo spitting in my face. It's like, okay, you know. Yeah, I did try that game for a bit. It's just, I got too engrossed in it, and you couldn't, like, take me away from the screen. It was pretty bad. There's not many games that do that. That turned out to be one of those. I'm like, oh no, this is not good. I have to stop. I just kept climbing mountains all day. It was really fun, especially trying to do that while it was raining, because of how the friction works. It's like, ooh. Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was just fucking climbing mountains everywhere. And trying to collect all the weapons since I got sick of fucking durability. But then I was just like, I was like, okay, I'm going to cook this stuff, then I'm going to cook this, and yeah. I also liked messing around with the physics a lot, as you might imagine. I'm a big fan of screwing around with ragdoll physics. Although in the case of Nintendo, that's not really something you want to do in terms of its level design. In fact, that's actually the one beef I have, besides all those things that I don't agree with, is just there really wasn't any dungeons. If the second game that I know is coming corrects that, then so be it. But really there was these little challenge thingy rooms, but it was like, because of how item collection worked, you just kind of had things to do what, and didn't really all connect unless you got more powers for your quote-unquote tablet thing. Totally not a tablet, even though it's medieval times. Yeah. What do I know? You had the Wind Waker tuner thing that was clearly a Game Boy Advance, so that was just Nintendo being silly. But no, these great mountainous areas. So I'm just thinking about mountains. And don't worry, we'll get to actual mountains in this game. You best believe. It's a bodybuilder crocodile. It's on roids. Taking experimental drugs, I'm sure. But then, I guess if a reptile's on steroids, how much does it have to worry about its own hormonal system? Because it doesn't have to worry about hair. It doesn't have to worry about, the bosom. So what does a reptile have to worry about when it's on steroids? That's the question that we're not going to answer, because that's a horrible See, that's one of those things like, oh yeah, it's scientific, but you really shouldn't be doing that. That's the theme of this game. Going up in the barrel as I barely get stars. Going in the middle, in front of the waterfall, in front of the waterfall. Sometimes you go behind the waterfall too. Not in this bonus, but sometimes in other places. And it gets really weird, but then it comes one and behind. Also, how many games do you always try to look behind the waterfall? All of them is the answer. Always look behind the waterfall. There's usually something there. And if there isn't, it's fun to go behind one anyway. How does it maintain itself? Well, if it's consistently raining, by which I mean the rain usually drops off after it goes off the mountain, well then you're going to get some waterfalls somewhere, depending on the land topography. Get some geology up in this bitch. Yes. I'm going to have to throw the barrel slow enough so I get there fast enough. And this barrel shall help. Although I do have to wonder if it's accidentally going off screen, so I'm just careful about that. Somehow, despite all these, there's a lot of, one chance only coin things where the barrel only shows up once, you have to do the level over. And I seem to have aced that just fine. That was never the issue. The issue is just getting hit in places where I don't expect it. It's like, oh no! It happens. Preview for all these games about shooting and jumping. Why not knitting? Well, Wrinkly Kong, if you had lived past Donkey Kong 64, I'm sure there's something on itch.io for someone like you. In fact, that's why I like it. It's a very experimental place. I don't recommend it for doing LPs, but if you're just trying to try random crap, it's perfect. This is where the freeware spirit has gone. It has gone over there, essentially, along with what IndieDB or TIG Source, if that's still a thing. I think it is. TIG Source, TIG. And we've got another stilts level. All right, and the water's now there's a lot of algae in this water. Yeah. Unnecessary stuff in which I got a bear coin. The water's not safe, though, because that fish, okay? And there's explosive barrels can also hold on to ropes. Oh, God. Don't touch them. Insta explosion. What's I mentioned to someone? Explosive Lawrence. Grab 15 bananas. Okay? This is not a new concept. This is you in your hands grasping the very bananas and hoping by the time you're done with the game they'll be ripe enough to eat. Also, this is a foreshadowing of what kind of bananas Kitty's brother is going to have. So if that was an intentional reference, good job. But I've decided to make the connection myself because it's fun to fill in the blanks. Even when you shouldn't really be doing that, but, we gotta do some filler somewhere, huh? I see the mountains in the back. I'm thinking of pieces of art going out in the Midwest. There's rivers, and, actually, I would think this game takes place, even though there's mountains. Midwest, because then you'd have to go up the Rockies, perhaps. So, somewhere in the Midwest. Also going somewhere around the Great Lakes, perhaps. Some place like that. Maybe we visit Dakota or something. Or hell, definitely middle Canada, I'm sure. You can get a very Canadian vibe from this game by its environment. But during the Industrial Age, of course. Also, I get the vibe that there's a lot of lumberjacks going on in this game. So maybe there's some Mounties too? I don't freaking know. That's why I call it the B for the best around. Alright, got this N, got this bouncy guy who's not even bouncing. Is he okay? I don't know. He's gonna have to see a doctor about that. That's why he needs to take some Viagra Falls. For all your waterfall interests. Indeed. Going on these guys that don't really need to sit still, but it's the only type of enemy you have that's sitting still, so I guess that's why they did that. Otherwise, not really necessary, huh? Here's a guy with a coin that you want to throw on your face just like this. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. I'd like to throw you up here. Even though that there's nothing, you throw the steel barrel down and it carries over from Donkey Kong Country 1. Missed it in Donkey Kong Country 2, but here it's back again. It's made of steel and iron and stuff. Steel barrels. Steel magnolias. Etc. Swanky Sid Show. He's Swanky Sid the Science Show. No science. You go win a king's ransom. Oh, yeah, we have to be like 1800s then, because why would you say that now? You wouldn't. You wouldn't, Div. Is it time for tangents again? It sure is. Welcome to the bonus zone. What shall we talk about today? Oh, I know. We can talk about how... Well, let's talk about a general concept that can affect anyone. And it's called a coincidence. You know what a coincidence is. It's when two incidents happen together. But sometimes our reactions to said things are not rational. So we end up getting a little angry, or we end up making conclusions that we shouldn't have to, just in a result of trying to solve things as fast as possible. I am, of course, talking about myself. But needless to say, I felt a bit of soul crushing. It was not good. But the thing about that is that even though rationally I knew what was going on, the emotion was still happening. It's very strange to be dissociated from myself like that, but it happens to me all the time. So it's not as if I'm two different people. It's not as if I'm acting on like two different programs at the same time. I'm just like, no, use the thinking one. Think more. Alright, it was especially true today, so I'm just like, yeah. Plus there was a power outage, so that didn't really help. Except, oddly, I started feeling better after the power outage, because the moment where I find myself where I'm at a point in my life where just like, okay, there's literally nothing I can do now except to wait for the power to come back. Although my phone has a lot of battery, so I'm able to screw around with that. Not to mention I have 5G, so I can actually do that. I do have tethering, but I found out lately that the tethering is a limited plan. I just never reached its limit before. It's just I was like downloading stuff off Steam. I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. But there's a 40G limit per month. However, if you bypass the limit, I don't know if you have to pay more, if you have to just like, or if it'll just slow you down. You don't have to worry about the fee. Which, okay, but by that point you just be at 4G anyway, so it wouldn't matter. It still works though if you're out of power and you need to do stuff, but it wouldn't matter anyway because like I said, it's gonna run out of power eventually. But get a phone with a long-lasting battery. Every other feature is secondary. I don't care if I have like 3 cameras in this thing. That is definitely extraneous. I really got this for the battery power and its ability to 5G. That was the only reason I upgraded my phone, man. It's not as if I use the smartphone for games. I mean, I can. I have done so. Usually for quick puzzle things. When I'm like a passenger in a vehicle, because there's really nothing I can do except sit there and wait for travel to happen. Plus, you don't want to distract the other person driving. That's not what you want to do, even if you're having fun. So I do that, and mostly use it for quick and easy apps. So it's like, all right, you know your needs for like finances, basic note padding. But also other things that I think people don't consider. It's like, I put a compass thing in there. And a stopwatch, so, I try to make it like a kind of a Boy Scouts tool that trades phone, if I can. Not to mention, you can always call 911 no matter how bad your connection is. So there is always a good reason to have a cell phone around, no matter what kind it is. If you have access to 911, boom, you're good. And, like, I was also able to access the power outage map, which it looked like it updated every 15 minutes, so I was like, that's good. And then I tried doing stuff I normally do in those situations that I've been putting off that don't require, like, electricity, and there you have it. That's been my talk. We can go into other tangents when we go into the circus zone. again. That just happened to be the last thing that happened this time. When we come back, we'll go into another waterfall, and then we'll go into Insane Aquarium, where we have a fish feeding frenzy. Won't that be exciting? See you later.